I read 25 books this 2025. Hello, Happy New Year. Welcome to my room. I'm in bed right now. It's already midnight and I've decided to film this. For context, I've already filmed, a few clips of this outside, but my camera just ends up dying all the time, so I thought I'll just film this at home in the comfort of my room. So yeah, let's not waste time. Let's start this video. 2025 was a big reading year for me. I've managed to reach my goal of reading 25 books for the year 2025, so I thought I should share them all. I'm gonna try to make this quick. It's not that I'm gonna, give big words about them. But yeah, I just thought it would be fun to share my 2025 reading journey. I started the year with Ocean Vuong's Night Sky with Exit Wounds, and it was the best decision I made. It was so nice starting the year fresh with a clean slate, accompanied by Ocean Vuong's voice. This is a collection of his poetry that mainly deals with, queerness, loving life, dealing with life, you know, getting through life, convincing you to live life as it is and loving it and appreciating it for its beauty and tragicness. I love this. This is one of my favorite Ocean Vuong's works so far, because I've already read two. Call Me By Your Name by Andre Ackerman is a very familiar queer romantic story. You already know this. I think most of us have seen the film starring Timothée Chalamet and the other guy. But yeah, this is a story about a blooming romance between Elio and Oliver, set in the beautiful, beautiful setting of the Italian Riviera. I love this. I love reading this. I love being in the head of Elio. I'm gonna say this again. Elio, book version, is the ultimate yearner. It was so relatable and heart-quenching to hear and read how Elio feels. This is so me. I love this book. Paradais by Fernando Melchor. This book is dirty, mad, violent, trashy. It was teeth gritting reading this. It was relayed by the author in a way that you're supposed to feel the rush. Like literally, there's no punctuation marks here, not even a period. I can't remember if there was. It's a story about the two characters who reside in this housing complex called Paradise, and both of them kind of allied. They kind of team up to devise this thrilling plan. Basically, in the essence of getting what they think they deserve, but ended up in each other's demise, or could be freedom. It's up to you to, view it the way you interpret it. I think it's a good book reco if you agree to the phrase that men are trash. That's all I can say. Open Water by Caleb Azuma Nelson. It's one of my favorite book reads last year. It's as if Ocean Vuong and Sally Rooney wrote a novel combined. But yeah, that does not discredit how Caleb Azuma Nelson is a good writer. I think he has his own poetry in him. I love his writing. This is a story about a found romance by accident between two black people. Both are artists. The guy is sort of like a photographer, and the girl was a dancer. I think she was a dancer. This is one of those books where it just feels like it's all vibes, no plot really, but it's all just fragments of POVs, mostly the guy's character. You know, this book screams romance from a black person's perspective. I also feel like this is the author's ode to the black community. I appreciate seeing through the eyes of the characters and learning about how they love and grieve and appreciate each other and how they find home in each other's presence. Yeah, I just felt like being in love while reading this. This is one of my loveliest read. Elena Knows by Claudia Pinheiro. Pinheiro? I was torn between loving and not liking this book. I mean, it was a fast-paced book read experience for me. It was definitely emotional and impactful. It's a story about the mother's journey finding out who unalived her daughter, although it was technically relayed in here that the daughter unalived herself by hanging herself at the bell tower from their neighborhood church. That being said, early on in this book, it was hyped already that there will be a reveal in the end, but by the time the reveal was revealed, I felt like it fell flat in a way. It did not really live up to its hype, to its teeth. I don't know if it's the translation or the actual writing, but I just thought it's predictable in a way when the moment came. But yeah, a lot of people love reading this. I think it's just an okay book, to be honest. But I appreciate how the author has effectively handled, topics that deals with terminal illness and disabilities. So I'll give that to her. The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath. Another book I didn't really like, or I didn't really love. Reading this was just a chore. I thought I'm gonna love this. I really tried hard to love this book, because by the time I discovered or heard about the passage about the story of the fig tree, I was really hooked, and I was so eager to read about this classic. But yeah, I just can't help but get annoyed with the main character here. I just couldn't care much about her doings and her babbles. It's just pages and pages and pages of racism and tone deaf privilege rants. I'm sorry, Sylvia Plath. This is a flat read for me. Okay, that was corny. Madonna in a Fur Coat by Sabahatan Ali. It's another book read about a man yearning. I feel like this is something refreshing for me because I have never heard or read about a man expressing that emotion. I mean, that emotion of being vulnerable and yearning and being a hopeless romantic. Because I feel like that emotion is mostly relayed by queer characters or women in literature, if I'm not wrong. So this is about a guy who got attracted or got obsessed with this lady in the painting, the Madonna in the Fur Coat, while he was visiting this exhibit, and he just keeps, visiting every day to see and appreciate that lady in the painting until one day eventually he actually met the lady, or I think she was the painter of the Madonna in the Fur Coat. I kind of forgot. But yeah, the two of them bonded, almost ended up together, but Rafe, the guy, was just a baby girl yearning for romance, and I felt like the girl, Madonna, didn't get the vibe. They just quarrel, and lots of miscommunications happen, and ended up in that feeling of regret. Bad Habit by Elena S. Potrero. It's about a story of a young trans girl maneuvering her life in Madrid, in the working class suburb city of Madrid. A classic queer topic, finding belongingness and family and kinship. I feel like this is Alana's ode to the women in her life, all the women that influence her, the trans women that, you know, that she looked up to. Although this was written with beautiful prose, it was accompanied by mythical elements. I don't think it was overly done, but I just thought that style is not for me. It was still a nice read. The Story of a New Name by Elena Ferrante. I finished this around August. I feel like Elena Ferrante is giving me August vibes all the time, and I managed to get the other two of the Neapolitan series, so I'm hoping to finish them this year, or at least read another one this August as well. Here we follow our main girls, Lenu and Leela, this time in their mature roles. So Leela is now stuck with her marriage with her husband. Lenu is now maneuvering her life in pursuit of success in her career. Just always feels good and thrilling to be in the mind of these two girls, to be in the mind of Ferrante. I would always end up closing my fists, leaving my mouth open after every chapters. And I cannot wait to finish the other two, although I already watched and completed the TV adaptation of My Brilliant Friend, so in a way, I already spoiled myself, but I know that it's still going to be an experience reading the other two, so wait for me. 2025, I was big on reading John Steinbeck's works. I read 4 of his books last year, so let me talk about them. I read The Pearl by John Steinbeck. It's about the story of this impoverished family living near the ocean. The father works or lives as a fisherman, mostly a fisherman of pearls. And, he lives together with his wife and their newborn child, their newborn baby. They're kind of introduced in this short book as this simple family, contented with what they have, contented with each other's company. Not until the father discovers this pearl, the pearl of the pearls, the greatest pearl of all. And suddenly, all their contentment became a lie. This pearl has unleashed, in a way, his dreams and hopes for his family, for himself, and for their newborn child's future. It's also ironic that the moment he found and discovered this pearl is when, their life began to struggle. I thought that was, a wise story to tell about the greed of men and what do we expect? Tragedy in the end. And then I immediately followed up by reading The Red Pony, because it's already here. These are just short book read. The Red Pony revolves around this young boy named Jody who lives in a California ranch with his family. The moment the father gifted Jody his red pony is somehow a representation of his, switch to adulthood, because it's when he started to gain responsibilities as a young boy. I love reading this too. It's actually one of my best book reads last year, although it is a short story. There's so much to unravel in this little book. And that's one thing I love about reading is time back work. It's like listening to a wise man. For me, this tells about the narrative of men's pursuit of greatness, how men are, you know, afraid to be seen as vulnerable and weak, yet it was balanced by elements of family, compassion, and redemption. Tortilla Flat is a funny book read. I feel like Steinbeck was just having fun writing this short story. It's about a story of these men, these impoverished men, just living life beyond responsibilities, not bound by any rules, just getting drunk and enjoying wine together until one of them inherits this house, two houses actually, from his late grandfather. This tortilla flat became their sanctuary for their brotherhood, for their camaraderie, and quarrel. Another book that started light and funny but ended up in a tragic way. What is a Steinbeck work without a classic Steinbeck ending? Always leaves you thinking about life and the nature of humans. Last Steinbeck I read was Of Mice and Men. I think this is one of his popular works, although so far this is my least favorite, only because it's giving me too much Fable Tone vibes. Too Fable Tone than The Pearl. It's about these two men's journey to their shared hope of ending up together in this promised land, in a way, in this good place that they have hoped for. My favorite thing about this book was when one of the characters' demise was actually foreshadowed in the middle of the book. So I thought that was so brilliant and interesting. At first, I get annoyed by how George treats his company, his brother, his friend, Lenny, but in their final encounter, it's something that I consider that we really cannot judge, but rather I see it as an act of, brotherly mercy. It's for you to find out what happened. I feel like most of us already know this, book. So I recommend this. I would still recommend this book. Beloved by Toni Morrison. I didn't really love this book. I tried my best as well to love this because every reviews, every post about this book, everybody seems to love it. And I really had a hard time reading this. This consists of beautiful prose by Toni Morrison, no doubt, with heavy metaphors that I could not take. It was just too heavy. I had a hard time catching up, but I'm not giving up. I still would like to read more of her works. Yeah, just like Sweet Home, this enslaved me, and I just remember being a big relief when I finally finished reading this. The Door by Magda Szabo. This is my first and only NYRB copy as of the moment. That being said, unfortunately, I didn't like this book as well. I feel like questioning my taste now in books because most of the beloved books on the internet didn't reach me, didn't reach my taste. All I can remember is how annoyed I am with these two women. Yeah, I just thought Emerence was so annoying, although she was an elderly, and I feel like elderly are supposed to be annoying and forgivable, but I'm so annoyed by how she treats people around her. And Magda is this unreliable narrator, which makes her annoying as well. But I'd say in the end, the reveal kind of redeemed me from my annoyance. I think it was a satisfying feeling finally reaching the reveal as well. In the end, the betrayal in the end. So maybe this is for you. No One Is Talking About This by Patricia Lockwood. This style of writing is not for me. I know, I'm not being a hater, I promise. But I didn't like this book. This is the only book I rated 2 stars out of the 25 I read last year. I thought I was gonna like this because I discovered this as a recommendation from Frankie, one of my favorite booktubers here. So it's a collection of fragments and internet musings from the main character who got viral from a post, but then had to face reality on the second half when one family member died. So, no, I don't recommend this. I don't want to talk about this now. The Wall by Marlon Haushofer. I don't know how to pronounce the name, sorry. But it's about a woman who finds herself the only living human on Earth when she was trapped in this mountain, this house, this vacation house in the mountain, within the wall, within this invisible wall. That premise got me interested because I thought there must be more to it. What's the catch? But actually there's none. This is just a record of her mundane activities. Nothing much was happening. So in a way it was dragging to read as well. But yeah, I love how it tackles what would you become if everything was stripped away from you. Everything that you thought makes you you was stripped away. Doesn't matter anymore. Letters to a Young Poet by Raina Maria Rilke. I initially got this because this is where Gaga got her iconic left arm tattoo, but it happened to be one of my favorite book read as well. This is so short, but it's so rich in its words. Rilke has touched the most vulnerable part of me, which is my childhood. There's a letter to the artist in you, in every one of us. Here he encouraged the reader or the receiver of this letter that he's writing to embrace solitude when we feel like we're discouraged or losing passion and questioning our self and nature and talent, because it's when we're alone, it's in our solitude that we get to reconnect with the purest part of ourselves, which is our childhood. Come Closer by Sarah Gran is a possession story, and it's a cliche possession story, I thought, but it's so good at being a possession story, if you know what I mean. It's about a woman who finds herself possessed with a demon. This book got me scared and thrilled. It was definitely a page turner. I think I remember reading this for 2 days only. This is so trippy in a way, and actually camp. This is so camp. Must read. The Moustache by Emmanuel Carrere. I still don't know how to pronounce the name. It's about a man who one day decides to shave his mustache as a joke, but then find himself unraveling and questioning reality when everyone around him, especially his wife that he's been with for years, didn't notice that his mustache was gone. This, in a way, made me question my judgment as well, together with the main character. This is so good. This is devouring. Swimming in the Dark by Tomasz Jodorowsky. It's about this young boy who found romance in another boy he met in this agricultural camp Yeah, so they spent their dreamlike summer discovering love in each other's company. Mostly spent in this lake. It's a hot summer read recommendation. Talk about those days in the summer discovering love with someone. I remember reading this with a familiarity to its premise, a classic coming of age queer romance. But as I, move through, I like how the story becomes unpredictable. And I don't think it would be a spoiler to say that this novel didn't end well. I mean, that's how every queer literature ends up anyway. The Haunting of Hill House by Shirley Jackson. This is acclaimed to be one of the finest classic ghost stories, horror house story in literature, but this did not scare me at all. I mean, being in your 30s and being so self-centered must be scary, I would say. This book is different from the Netflix adaptation, so probably it's me setting my expectations wrong as well. But one thing I want to say is I like the Netflix adaptation more than this. I thought they're gonna be the same. Shame by Annie Ernaux. It was a good time again to be in the head of Annie Ernaux. So in this memoir, Annie Ernaux takes us to this memory in her childhood and the shame that comes after it or along it. Yeah, I just love how Ernaux is able to relate experiences, personal matters, and make it relatable to her readers. She's just so good at, giving a good read on society's behavior and habits. Death in Venice by Thomas Mann. It's about a story about this middle-aged man, I think he was in his 50s, who went on a vacation in Venice because he was recently enabled for his artistic work. So he thought about, having a time of his life and have a vacation and find inspiration in this beautiful, beautiful city of Venice, Italy. And he did found inspiration and excitement only in the image of this young boy who is 14 years old, which the book described as if he is a Greek creature, something like that. Reading this and being in the mind of the main character was so uncomfortable. It just sounds so wrong in all its ways, but I kind of enjoyed reading this. It seems like, his admiration to this young boy is the finality of his artistic expression, because in the end, this emotion, this sensation that he's had while being around this beauty that he cannot take to uphold somehow led to his destruction. I mean, it's already in the title, so no spoiler. Foster by Claire Keegan is the last book I read last year. I read this in December, and yeah, I thought I did the right thing on reading this because this book dwells with familial matters, the feeling of discovering new feelings. This is a story about a young girl who got adopted in a way for a short period of time by her relatives and unexpectedly finds familial needs with them. It is very emotional. The last part was not shocking, but it's gonna make you think about the reality of family relationships. And I just feel bad about the dog in this book. I'm calling out Claire Keegan to give justice to this dog. Yeah, it was a nice read to end the year. Those are all the books I read in 2025. All 25 books. I hope, I didn't waste your time yapping about those books. Have you read any of those? You can let me know in the comments if you like any of the books I read. You can also share me some of your recommendations. That's all I have to say. I'll see you in the next video. Thank you so much for watching. Bye!